The date is October 29th, 2022. Welcome to the Time Capsule Podcast, where we'll be looking into the future, discussing the present, and reminiscing about the past. By the time that we revisit these episodes, we could be married, may even have a couple of kids. Anything could happen, but the point is that us three hosts won't be coming back to these episodes until the year 2041. You guys, however, sitting there listening to us, you guys could revisit these anytime you like. So, without further ado, let's begin.
Hello, loyal listeners or first-time listeners, and welcome back to the Time Capsule Podcast. Today, once again, as always, I'm joined by my friends Brian, say hello.
Hello.
And Jake.
Greetings.
And today, we will be discussing some scary stories that have happened in our lives. Not necessarily supernatural things, but things that we found legitimately scary and that have frightened us. But before we get into that, we're just going to do a little bit of a monthly review catch-up type scenario that we usually do. So, how we doing, fellas?
Feeling pretty good. Just a little heads up for all you listeners out there. I am drinking some tea right now, so you might hear some clicking and or slurping. Hopefully Brian can edit it all out, and I'm so sorry, Brian.
No, Jake, I'm not going to edit it.
Brian,
it adds to the atmosphere. But what's
you don't want to edit this out?
You look like, well, dude, I burped like a minute into the recording. I don't know if I want to edit that out or not. But anyways, you look like the typical podcaster with your headphones, your ball cap, and your tea.
Yeah, you look good.
I feel good.
I look like a bum.
I will say that when I asked everybody he's doing, Brian just nodded and like rolled his eyes super far back into his head.
Oh gosh.
Sorry. Yeah, it's been a rough week for me, dude. I got started my sinus infection started on like Tuesday, and it's been kicking my butt ever since.
About like a week ago or so, I came down with a cold or something, and I've been out of commission for the past couple days, but I'm back on my feet now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of Brian,
like
he oh dang it, I'm sorry. I keep bumping my microphone. If this episode comes out at late for any reason, that's because Brian just moved. And I'm not like saying, "Oh, Brian, it's all your fault." I'm just like letting you guys know. But yeah, Brian is now operating out of his mother's house like the rest of us. So now we can officially change our podcast name to Living in Our Mother's House as the podcast. Just kidding.
Hey, my setup's in my mom's basement. What can I say?
Hey, me too, dude.
So I guess I'm the only one not subterranean right now.
Well,
I'm in a bedroom, but it's just in the basement.
I'm in the basement for the sake of my family doesn't like how loud I am. So
I get that.
Oh, that's their problem.
Yeah.
I've had many a noise complaint.
So, have you guys been watching Andor?
Yes.
No.
I'm honestly loving
it,
dude.
It's
so much better
good.
than I thought it would be.
So good.
I honestly didn't even know that it came out. I've been far too busy to even consider TV.
It's the newest Star Wars series on Disney Plus, and it proves
the name of it is
Andor. Without any doubt that if you don't make any of your characters related to the Skywalkers and you show us new locations and planets and people, then it's going to be good. Who knew? Am I right?
Yeah, it's doing a really good job.
It was like what Mandalorian was before it wasn't anymore.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong. I still like Mando, but Andor it hits different, man.
Yeah, what I like about these shows though, like Andor and Mandalorian, is like they're showing like the backwater, underground type parts of Star Wars, like the scum, the villainy, instead of just the overall like good versus evil. I mean, you're actually get to see the underworld, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're kind of peeling back the layers.
Yeah,
I think so. Like before Andor started coming out, I rewatched most of Rogue One. It was mainly the scenes involving him, and I forgot how good the scene that introduces him for the first time ever is. I mean, he literally just, spoilers for Rogue One, I guess, he just kills a guy, an innocent guy. It was a rebel too. He was like, he like met him for an information drop, and then stormtroopers were like coming down the alley toward him. He's like, "What are we gonna do?" And he's like, "Shh, it'll be okay." And he just kills him.
Oh wait, who is Endor like centered around?
Andor is centered around Cassian, the exploits of Cassian Andor, who is a character first introduced in Rogue One. He's played by Diego Luna. He's the guy that's in. He's part of the team in Rogue One. He's not the pilot, but he's got like a Spanish accent, and he ends up smooching Jyn Erso at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
No, he doesn't. They don't smooch. They hug.
Oh yeah, sorry, they hug. Whatever. PDA. It's gross. Just kidding.
They should have kissed, but they didn't.
They should. No. I think that would have been a nice final embrace as you get completely disintegrated. Go out. Might as well go out with a bang.
I'll have to give it a watch.
Oh yeah, it's very good.
It's really good.
It's way better than Book of Boba Fett. And it's just as good as Mandalorian, but on a different level. I'd say. Depending, I mean, well, you know what? There are a lot of people out there who prefer it over Mandalorian, but you know what? I really love Mandalore. So,
did you guys happen to see my Instagram story recently?
No, I don't have an Instagram.
Possibly,
I apologize.
Let me see.
It was a photo of me and my friend, and we're facing the moon. It's glowing, and there's like you can see a couple stars, and we're holding PVC pipes, and we're standing next to each other, and I have the Force theme playing. There it is, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty great, dude.
And that is
a really beautiful photo, actually.
I'm not saying that I condone doing things that shouldn't be done, but that photo was taken on the roof of a Target.
That's beautiful.
Guys, go to David's Instagram and hit that like button.
Yeah, but very, very cool. I thought it was a great photo. Just like the way that, because it's not actually like the sun. It's actually just kind of like the moon, like not rising, but it was pretty early in the evening. But it gives the moon like these nice like refractive lines on it, and you can see a couple stars like above it and like to the east of it. It's just beautiful.
Right. Speaking of Star Wars, did you guys see the teaser for Star Wars Jedi Tales?
No.
The teaser, yes. I heard they released a full trailer recently, and I have not seen that yet.
That might. I don't. How long? Do you know how long that is?
I don't. I just heard somebody else mention it. They said it came out like a month ago.
Yeah.
The teaser was a little bit longer than that.
Right. Basically, it's another animated series in the same style as Clone Wars and Bad Batch, but it's like a prequel, and it's like it takes place far back enough in the timeline that we not only get to see young Windu and I thought I saw Yoda in there, but we also get to see baby Ahsoka and young Count Dooku and young Qui-Gon Jinn.
Wow.
And their exploits in the Jedi Order, and it looks beautiful. I'm so hype.
It does look very beautiful.
Ahsoka is adorable.
I'm very excited.
When is it coming out?
Later this year, I think. That might be wrong.
Sounds like a good show to pop a fire in the fireplace, grab some hot chocolate.
Oh yeah.
Have you finished watching? Jake, did you watch She-Hulk?
I did. Yes.
So you watched the season finale?
Very interesting.
That show confused the heck out of me. I couldn't tell what was going on. It didn't make any sense. It wasn't even a good storyline. I was like, what are they trying to do here? Was it purely to introduce new characters? Or was
that's a lot of what Disney Plus series serve to do, is bridge the gap between the movies and introduce new characters.
I want to know, and this is a spoiler warning for the season finale of She-Hulk, so if you don't want to hear, skip ahead a couple minutes or whatever. But,
yeah, and by the time this comes out, it'll have been out for a month. Yeah, but that's okay. Yeah, spoilers.
But at the end, Hulk brings his son into the picture, Scar. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand how that's possible, because in Age of Ultron, he told Natasha he physically cannot have kids.
What was it? What are the words he used? Because I know what scene you're talking about, but I don't remember the dialogue specifically. She
said she wanted to run away, and he's like, I can't do that. I can't have a family. Do the math. I physically can't. Like, he can't have children because of the way his.
I thought he was just talking about, because he's the Hulk, his dong wouldn't fit in.
No. I'm gonna put this as a picture. I mean, I know. Technically, in the comics, he does have kids. He smashes a lot.
Hulk smash.
But
Nice, dude.
so far in the MCU, I was under the impression he wasn't able to have kids. Also, brings up the question: who's the mother?
That is a very good question. Probably answered in the comics, but I do want to point out, Bruce also never thought he was going to be able to reach an equilibrium between himself and the Hulk. But then we got Professor Hulk or Smart Hulk or whatever you would call him.
I see this as an
That's
absolute
true.
win.
He also thought he was going to be the only Hulk ever, and then
That's true.
then he infected his cousin.
Bro, okay,
Accidentally,
honestly,
of course.
him having a son brings up so many different questions because it's going to be a weird little rant. There's something that's been bothering me. I thought him being the Hulk was kind of a genetic mutation caused by the gamma radiation.
Mm-hmm.
So him being permanently Hulk, the way he merged Banner and Hulk together, does that mean a Hulk is a brand new species, like of its own species, and then every time he, has offspring, they come out as Hulks? Or is he still human? He's just now stuck in his mutated form. And so should his kids then become human, like come out human with the mutated gene, it's so confusing. I don't understand the biology.
I think it's probably more that one, because if you get mutated, so too do your genes, and then he probably passed on the mutation.
So it's born human, but they.
I don't know about you, but I'm not really into the comics all that much.
I'm not either, but it's
especially not the Hulk comics. I'll tell you that much, but that's just my thought.
I don't know. I don't know. It's confusing for me.
I'm zoning out trying to figure it out, so
I know.
I'm not making any headway.
I'm not a biology teacher or smart person in that field at all, but it makes me think because it just confuses me.
Speaking of people in the wrong and out of their fields, out of their league, if you will, how about that Mario movie teaser?
I'm excited for it, honestly.
I am. I am too. It's gonna be
sure, it's not like the high pitched Italian voice that we were all hoping for, but I'm excited. It's showing a different version of Mario from a time period we haven't really seen from him yet. So I'm really excited.
No. Well, sort of. We've, depending on where you look, we've seen Mario's origin story multiple times across the games and other media. But I just do want to point out how funny it is that, leading up to the release of this trailer, Chris Pratt has been tweeting stuff like, when this trailer drops, Mario's voice will be unlike anything you've ever heard before. And then it's Chris Pratt's voice.
Heard Chris Pratt's voice before.
But it also sounds like Linda Belcher from Bob's Burgers.
Yeah,
so
it was
I don't know
Chris Pratt, but not Chris Pratt. I was so confused.
He's doing more of a New York accent.
He's trying to. Anyway.
What is this place?
Instead of an Italian accent, he's more doing a New York type.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Bowser's character.
Yeah, Jack Black, he can be Bowser all day long.
Jack Black just nails
problem
every character he plays.
Man,
that's because Jack Black is extremely talented.
He understands the assignment every single time.
Man, the trailer just gives him such a power moment. I loved it so much.
Yeah, shout out to those penguins.
Yep.
I was genuinely not expecting that, I'll be honest. I was like, hey, they're bringing back the penguin from Mario 64. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm all for it, though.
All right, are we ready to hop into the meat of the episode?
Well, I had just one more thing. Speaking of the Mario movie, so obviously, if you consider yourself to be a gamer worth anything, you know that this is not the first movie based off Mario that exists. Mm-hmm. There was a live action one created in '93 that was so poorly received and weird looking that is the reason that Nintendo hasn't gone into the movie industry until recently. And I was wondering, I'm mainly pitching this to you guys, but listeners, feel free to provide your feedback to this idea as well. What if we got together and we watched the original 1993 Super Mario Bros. Movie and did a Riff Tracks reaction to it and uploaded that either as one of the monthly episodes or in addition, depending on how the circumstance and how Brian feels about it?
I would be entirely for that.
Yeah.
Hold on. So would this be I zoned out for half a second because my mom was knocking on the door. Would this be a recording as like we watch it and then we record our reactions to it and talk about it, or is this like we do a live or not a live, but like
It's
kind
like
of
a we're watching
like a
it,
movie
and
reaction
we've got
where
like a
we're
face cam. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that, and then we just like we'll just clip it out to where it's obviously not the entire movie that we're talking about. We just
Right. I don't think a face cam is necessary, and obviously we can't have the movie in there or we'll get a copyright strike. But I was thinking just like, because that's what I've been listening to a lot, not specifically riff tracks, but I do listen to a podcast where they'll sit down and they'll just record audio only, and what you do is they do a countdown at the beginning of the recording, and when they get to 0, you hit play on your remote or whatever, right, and start the movie. So you're watching both the movie, and what I do is I put them in my left ear with an earbud. So I'm hearing them commentate over the movie while watching the movie on my TV.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's a great concept. Unfortunately it's like not original in the slightest, but I love it. Like I just watched them do one on the original Ghost Adventures documentary from 2004. It's mind blowing how bad that quote unquote documentary is, because it got them a TV show that's been running for 25 seasons. It's befuddling.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, I've never actually seen that movie, but I've seen bits and pieces, and it looks like trash. So I'm down for watching it.
I think it would be a great little thing to react to, in audio form.
Works for me.
Yeah, if we'll have to. I was originally going to pitch this sooner, because the original release date for the movie was supposed to be December of this year, 2022. But it got pushed back to spring of 23. So we'll have to squeeze it in between now and then.
We can do that.
Yeah, no problem. Well,
all right then.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
All
without
right.
further ado, or a don't.
With that,
let's get into this episode.
One at a time, boys.
To be or not to be.
Oh, okay. So I haven't had much like scary experiences in my life, at least none worth telling. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sprinkling in little tidbits from my recent trip to New York City. I'll introduce that briefly.
The
so
scariest place on
basically
Earth.
I went up there at the end of, or in the middle rather, of September for my cousin's wedding, and we were there for 4 days. And I'll talk a little bit more. Do you want me to just keep talking about it for now, or do
go ahead,
either
man.
you want to? Okay, all right.
Sorry, I zoned out there.
That's fine.
Oh, you got to stop doing that, man.
Sorry, dude. It's
the
hard.
one time you
my
can't
head,
do
my
that.
head is like my head feels like it's in a hydraulic press right now. So give me a break.
I get it. Oh, sorry, I had to take a hit of this tea. It's really it's working magic over here. I gotta tell you, it tastes amazing, and my throat feels amazing. Anyway, so I just have kind of a bulleted list of little things I want to touch on regarding my New York trip. So I want to clarify, I did not fly into JFK International Airport. That is the main, obviously, transportation hub there as far as like air travel goes, but I flew into LaGuardia with my family. And the first thing we did there when we got there is first of all, we Ubered to our hotel, which took a surprisingly long time. It's quite a drive, and we gave him our bags. We're like, all right, we'll come back at check-in, and we went, like, we walked a couple blocks over, and we got a bagel. By the way, blocks, the definition of the word block is different there. It's like here it's like, oh, one street over, right? But like there, it's like a specific distance. It's like a rectangular distance that is defined as a block. So you could be like, oh, it's 3 blocks over, and it's actually like 2 miles. No, well, it's not that big, but you get the point. Anyway, we're eating these bagels, and they're really good. Genuine, authentic New York bagel. I had bacon, egg, and cheese in mine, and my bladder used. Generally, I handle air travel pretty well, but the past couple times that I've traveled by air, I've gotten nosebleeds, and so we're sitting there standing on this street of New York City, on the side of the street rather, not in the middle. Sorry, and I just started bleeding on my. Luckily, it wasn't on the bagel; it was on the napkin, and my dad got mad. I was like, "Hey, can you go get more napkins?" And he's like, dang it, I just came out here. I just want to eat this bagel. And like we were there, he was already frustrated because we accidentally got charged for 3 bagels instead of 1. So like my mom was giving him a hard time about not looking at the like.
Are you sure he got charged for
receipt.
3, or that's just the cost of one? It would be equal.
No, it was still expensive. Like we each, like me, my sister, and my mom each got a bagel. My dad was like, "I'll just have half of Mom's," but the way it got charged, it was like I got 3 bagels instead of 1.
Oh.
And it's funny because the way the register was made, it's got a big screen on the front of it facing the customer, and it breaks down everything you get, and everything they plug into it.
I know there's some very overpriced taco stands in New York, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was.
Oh, dude, everything is overpriced there. I mean, it's ridiculous. That, and what was interesting was we were standing there on the sidewalk, closer up to the building. That way we didn't get run over by pedestrians, and a lot of like shops, they'll have like outside, down along the wall from the main door is like the hatches in the floor, right, that are stairs that go down to the basement of the building, and this hatch opened by our feet, and this guy starts throwing trash out, and he nearly hit a woman that was walking past on the street. I'm like, wow, is that just normal here? Like, if you like dropped into the streets of New York and you just looked around, there'd be trash everywhere on the sides of the road. Like, not like just like pieces of trash, like bags of trash just sitting there on the side of the road.
Whoa,
it's crazy.
That's
waiting for the trash man.
I feel.
Oh yeah, definite culture shock.
I feel way too just not Eastern.
Dude, New York is a crazy place. I haven't stopped there, but I've driven through there on the way to Boston.
Oh yeah,
and my gosh, the traffic is insane.
It's crazy. Yeah,
I've been to
the people we saw walking there are insane. It's just
nuts. You can walk to a place faster than you can drive in most cases, and that's not good.
I've been to Boston before, but I haven't been to New York. And Boston Boston just sounds more relaxed than New York. Like,
so here's the thing, New York is there's really no speed limit because everybody's going 15 because there's constant traffic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like
you're not moving hardly ever. Boston, you got people who you could have traffic and everybody's going 65, and because people in Boston don't care that you're there. Like if you're in a lane that's ending and you have to merge, you could sit there with your blinker on and they'll just wave by you or like wave at you as they drive by. Like they're not gonna let you over.
See you later, sucker. No, but yeah, we also rode the subway, another authentic New York experience. Nice. I saw a rat dragging a chicken bone. Unfortunately, it was not a pizza slice, but you know what? That's close enough for me.
Yep.
I consider that a win. And it was like down in the tracks too. I was like, oh, you about to get run over? No, but he did not. Thankfully. So yeah, I'll end it there, and I'll toss the baton on to whoever wants to take it.
The proverbial microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, you want
to
go?
Yeah, I'll go. Okay. I don't have it with me. I left it in the van, but I have a crowbar that's about an inch thick, and it is bent in a U shape instead of being straight because. And this is one of the scariest moments of my life. I was helping my grandfather.
Wait, I'm sorry. When was this? Like recently?
No, this was years ago. So this was
all right.
Probably around 2014, 2015.
All right, this is Brian Lore.
Yeah, this is a long time ago. So I was helping my grandpa. We were taking apart the back deck to our house in Parkville because we were going to install a new one. So we were taking up all the boards, and there's a gazebo, or there was a gazebo, with 4 posts on that, like, boarded in on the deck. And we didn't realize until after, like, we had gotten everything down, but on those posts where it was, like, stuck on, like, where it was attached to the roofing of that gazebo, only had, like, 1 nail in it on each of the posts. And those nails were heavily bent, so it was pretty much just sitting there. Like the only thing holding it up was the deck around it. And we didn't know that until we tore up the deck around it. And it came tumbling down.
Not on top of you, right?
Well, it almost did. Because we heard a creaking noise, and I turn up and I turned to look as it's falling down. And the reason I kept the crowbar is because it was my grandpa's crowbar, but that thing was laying over a couple of the cross beams when the gazebo hit it and bent it in that shape.
Wow.
But the gazebo missed me by literally half an inch. Like
Whoa.
if I was where I was standing, the corner of the gazebo was half an inch from my hip.
Dang, dude.
It literally almost crushed me. But I happened to be standing half an inch to the left, and I was like barely missed, but I
That's
almost
crazy.
pooped myself. It was-
You know what that reminds me of? As back when I worked at Power Play, did you guys ever ride the Tilt-A-Whirl?
Oh, I love the Tilt-A-Whirl.
I don't know,
It's surprising because that thing was ancient. It could have fallen apart at any second. Fun fact, that giant red lever, which is supposed to be the emergency brake, does nothing if you pulled it.
Nice.
So anyway, that little, it like on the side of the ride where that lever is, that's like just a little like, it's not even really supposed to be a platform. It's just supposed to be where the lever is. But that's where they mounted the stop and go buttons for the operator to control the ride. So you have to stand in that little alcove. And I remember at one time I turned around to face away from the Tilt-A-Whirl to speak to a customer, and it I could feel the air brushing past my back. That's how close the cart of the Tilt-A-Whirl spinning around got to me.
Wow.
Like it was inches away.
Jeez.
And it was spinning really fast too. Those things get like insanely fast.
Yeah, that's why they're fun.
They could kill a man.
It's true.
That's why they're fun.
As with most carnival rides.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no. So actually, that's one of the exact reasons I don't go on roller coasters, because I don't trust them.
Especially the kind that like are built so you can fold them up and then drive away with them on the back of your trailer.
Yeah, no, I don't go to I don't ride on those ones, but like ones that are like, I'll go to Worlds of Fun. I love those rides.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
won't do that
okay,
because
that's
those have been
understandable.
up for ages, and
Well, some of them look
The
a bit
amount-
rickety though.
yeah, and like
Like-
the amount of stories. I mean, not necessarily Worlds of Fun, but the amount of stories coming out of theme parks or amusement parks of rides malfunctioning and killing passengers is just, it makes me hesitant to go on any of them.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I don't like heights unless I'm not attached to the ground. So like, I can do planes, I can do helicopters, but I can't do roller coasters.
Interesting.
Did you guys see that one video? It was either, I feel like it was this year, but it could easily have been last year too. Time has just felt like a blur since 2020. But it was of a drop ride, right? So where you sit in a chair with a bunch of other people, and then it lifts you up and then drops you, but then it's supposed to catch you before you hit the ground and die. But the operator, like, I think what the problem was, like, this guy's was just so barrel chested that the thing didn't clamp down around him properly, so he slid out underneath the like harness and fell down out of the chair and just landed on the ground with a very sickening splat, and that video went viral.
Oh, I thought you were talking. There's another video of one of the same thing of one of those rides, but it was when it got up to the top, it, instead of dropping and like locking and going back up, it dropped all the way and smacked the ground.
Oh,
And like
Oh.
I think several people broke their legs, a couple people like were severely injured. It
Oh,
was
that's not
pretty
good.
bad.
I love how broke their legs and severely injured are two separate categories.
oh,
You
if you
can
broke your
recover- you
legs,
can
you can
re-
still breathe, right?
You can recover from a broken leg. I mean,
You can recover from being severely injured.
Either
depends on the
way,
injury.
the American
That's
healthcare system gets all your money.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, now it's time for
Hashtag eat
some.
the rich.
It's time for some David lore now. Brian had his lore chance way back in the day when I was at the ripe young age of 4 years old. I was sleeping peacefully in my bed in my room and with the door closed. That's important to the story. I'm sleeping, my door's closed, and I'm having, those not so sweet dreams that little kids have every once in a while. And I had awoken from my nightmare, and when I woke up, there were all these giant black dots that were probably like, I don't know, what's a good measurement? Like softball, grapefruit size, like splotches on my walls,
Right.
all over my
Okay.
room. It was everywhere. It was on everything.
Whoa.
And I had, in my imagination, they were giant, like, tarantula spider things. I don't know why. It wasn't like I watched Arachnophobia that night or anything. I don't know where this came from. But I leaped out of my bed, I threw my covers aside, and I ran to the door to get out of my room, and there was one of those giant, like, black spots covering my door, my handle. So I didn't want to touch it because if it was a giant spider, I was going to, get bit and died. So I just started, like, beating on my door, like, screaming for help from, like, my entire family, and was, like, genuinely completely terrified when my family members burst through my door, and they were like, "What's going on, David? What is it?" And I'm just, like, standing there crying, like, "The spiders, they're gonna get me." And they were like, "Oh, there's no spiders." My dad picked me up, and as he was walking me over to my bed, they started to fade off and disappear, and he laid me back down, and they comforted me before I fell back asleep. And that has provided me with a irrational fear of the dark to this day.
I can see that.
I heard something interesting the other day. It's the fear of the dark isn't afraid of being alone in the dark. It's afraid of not being alone in the dark.
Exactly. Yeah. It actually, yeah. The strangest thing...
sorry.
The strangest thing is, like, I have no idea what it was that would have caused me to do that. It wasn't like it was sleep paralysis, because I literally got up and ran to my door, so I was in no way, shape, or form paralyzed. So it wasn't like my mind
You said you woke up from a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think probably your brain was still in that fight or flight response, and it started seeing weird shadows. I mean, I see weird shadows all the time when I wake up, and I think it's... I have lights on in my room sometimes, like keep my keyboard or my fan, and so it leaves like those light residues. Like if you stare at the sun for too long, you look around, there's spots.
Yeah, but it was.
Man, our bodies are weird.
Yeah, I know, they really are. Your brains will play tricks on you all the time, especially if you're in a frightened mode like that.
It was so weird though, because they were like everywhere. It wasn't like I looked around and they like moved with my vision. They were like stationary. It was weird.
Oh, that is weird.
Yeah. To quote the Red and Link song, "I'm not afraid of the dark. I'm afraid of what's in the dark that I cannot see because it's so dang dark."
Yep. So.
Well spoken.
Yeah.
For my age, that was the scariest thing that ever happened to me. Back then.
What age would you say that was? 10.
I was
4
years old. No, what?
Where did you get 10 from?
I was 4.
Oh, okay. You know what? I think so. We're all, for context, we're all on like Discord together, right? And your audio lagged out. It sounded like you said the word 10.
Oh,
so I was like,
no.
Okay, 10.
Sorry. So you asked me, like, how old are you? Oh, 10. Okay. And
yeah.
we were like, what?
4.
Sorry.
4. I was 4 years old.
I genuinely thought you said 10.
That's okay.
Here's a funny one. That it wasn't funny at the time, but it's funny now.
I've got a story like that.
Every year at Christmas, at our house in Parkville, we every year. So Christmas Eve, like early in the morning, like 1-2 o'clock, Mom would be making cinnamon rolls for breakfast, like because the cinnamon rolls she made, you have to put them in the oven for several hours because we use the rolls. You have to let them rise and all that stuff. So she was making it super early. And Dad would help put the gifts under the tree, and we have this tradition where we would leave one gift, like one semi-large gift, open for everybody, and where they would just put it in a random spot in the living room, and that's where you sat in the next day whenever you came down. Wherever your gift was, that was your seat. And we used to try to get up in the morning, like early Christmas Day, and try to sneak down and see what our gift was. And so Dad one year decided to put a motion detector on the top of the stairs. And so as soon as one of us, I think like 3 or 4 of us got up the same day. As soon as one of us stepped up on the top step, the motion alarm just started blaringly, like beeping really loud.
That's funny.
Like scared the bejesus out of us. And I think I at least, my foot slipped on the stairs. I ended up like sliding down the stairs. But it was just freaked me out. I was not expecting that at 2 a.m.
That's yeah. I understand that.
That's good right there. That's funny. When I was a kid, and I don't personally have memory of this, but my dad has told me that he did this. So like the way my room is laid out, my bed is in the opposite corner from the door, and the door is in the corner of the room. And so I used to sleep with my door open, and the hall light would be on, so like you could see out. You could see like not really out the doorway because it's like there's like a closet door there. But you could like if something appeared in the doorway, you would immediately see it because it would cast a silhouette and a shadow on the floor. So, what my dad would do is he would take a pair of like pants, like jeans or whatever, and he would stand so he was out of the view from the doorway, and then he would hold them out with his arms, and make them look like they were walking by themselves without legs in them, and then I'd see him and be like, Dad, what is this? It's evil pants, and then he would like make it look like they ran away, and then he would like wait for a couple seconds and then stick his head in the doorway and be like, What's up?
Wow, that's messed up.
And then I was like, there's pants, and he's like, don't be silly. Pants can't walk without legs. Go back to bed. Then he'd fake it like he was walking away, and then like a couple seconds later, he'd walk the pants back in.
So mean.
Yeah, and then he had the
That's
audacity
hilarious.
to complain about the fact that I called for him a lot when I was in bed.
Did you guys ever see the movie Brothers Grimm?
No.
The movie? No.
Yeah. So there's a movie called The Brothers Grimm, and I mean, there's a bunch of fairy tale characters in it. Obviously, it's the Brothers Grimm, and it is to this day one of the creepiest movies I'll ever watch. And part of that is because of when I watched it as a kid, and it scared me so bad that like even watching it now, it grosses me out, freaks me out. But there's a lot of different creepy characters. Like there's one where this, oh gosh, I don't remember if a guy falls into a mud puddle, and then the mud like kind of eats him up, and he turns into a weird gingerbread man type character.
Whoa! Oh gosh!
But
What?
no, so the part that really creeped me out, and because I am a huge arachnophobe. Okay, I hate spiders. I cannot stand them. There's a scene in there where this guy feeds a horse some spiders, a bunch of little spiders, and then later that night, the horse is like going nuts in the stall, like absolutely bonkers. So this little girl's like in there trying to calm her down, and she's like patting her around the nose and the mouth and the muzzle, and then like pulls her hand away, and there's spider webs everywhere, and it's like sticking to her, and it's like the more she struggles, the more it like gets all wrapped up in her, and then the horse like swallows her.
Oh,
And then the people are like trying, and then it like breaks out of the stall and starts running around. So the people are trying to chase this horse down. It looks like it's pregnant, and they finally catch up to it, and they're looking down its mouth, and they can see the little girl like sliding down its stomach, like reaching out.
oh,
It's
what?
like the freakiest
That's
thing
so
I'd ever
weird.
seen in a movie. I didn't sleep for days after watching that movie.
Oh, that's horrifying. All right, that's a good thing to know, so I can never watch it ever.
Fun fact: the other day I was laying in bed and there was a little jumping spider that was meandering around on my covers, looking around, and I held out my hand near it, and it looked at me, and it jumped up on my hand, crawled around, and then jumped off and continued on its day.
What,
I felt
what
like
was it? Uh,
a jumping spider. I felt like
no.
a Disney princess. And we actually, do you guys know what a hold on, I have to look it up. Aragope spider or something like that.
Aragope?
Argiope.
Argiope? How do you spell that?
It's a here. I'll just share my screen on Discord. Hold on, I'll save you the trouble.
Okay, 10. Okay.
10. Got you. One of these guys. They make really cool webs that look like this.
Oh, hold on. I forgot you have to hit the
no,
button in
no.
order to actually bring up your
Gross.
screen.
One of these
Yeah,
guys.
those
Oh,
are
they're
those are
like the
garden spiders.
four-legged. They look four-legged.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the way they put their legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
the
have one
garden
of-
spiders.
Yeah, we
They
have.
remind
one
me
of
of head
these-
crabs from.
We have one of these in
Half-Life.
my environmental ed class at school, and I managed to coax it into getting on my hand and crawling around on my hands. I was just
You know those things are like really deadly, right?
no, they're not actually.
They are. Or at least certain variations of them are.
Not that specific spider is not. Some orb weavers, yes, but that one is like completely harmless. Otherwise, why would my teacher have it just freely in the classroom?
That's
I
fair.
must have misread that part in my. So okay, well here's the thing. So I hate spiders so much. When I got to that section of my science textbook, I tried to skip past it and not touch any of the pictures of the spiders because I didn't like them at all. I was like grabbing the corners of the pages and like trying just to look at the words and not the pictures, or just like flipping over. I'm like, I don't want to touch this.
Oh man,
It's a little embarrassing lore for you there.
man. Okay, so your story about the Brothers Grimm movie triggered a memory for me in my childhood. So I don't know. We've kind of talked about this before. I don't know what it was like, being homeschooled. Did you guys ever have like a specific unit or like classroom session about like don't smoke?
No, we didn't.
Not really.
And or other drugs.
We experienced the effects of that out in the real world. While you guys were stuck in a classroom, we went out, to Walmart, and we could smell it, and people would be like, "Oh, that's gross! Don't ever do that."
Yeah.
My parents just were kind of like, "Look at this! Don't do that." And I was like, "Oh yeah, you know what? You're right."
Actually, I feel like that would be
while you guys were getting social skills in the classroom, I was getting real life skills out in real life.
Yeah, as I say, it would be a little dangerous. But it would be a pretty solid way to like show the effects of drugs. Is just bring like an addict into the room, like a meth head or whatever. You might have to keep them restrained. But once you see how horrifyingly ugly it turns your body, you'll be like, oh, no thanks to drugs. Anyway.
What
in public school,
cigarettes.
Wait, what is that? Is that from something?
Yeah.
It's this guy. He's an evangelist, but I don't remember his name. It's a really weird name. But he's like, he doesn't have any limbs.
Oh.
He has like one little foot thing that sticks off of his torso, and that's about it. And he was doing a talk one time, and we watched it in the Mad Tacos class. He was doing a talk.
Oh, you know what?
Okay,
I remember. I just didn't remember his name.
Kids used to make fun of him, and they'd be like, "Mommy, what happened to him?" And he would like start hopping up to him and just go, "Cigarettes."
It's hilarious. Anyway,
scare the kids.
In public school, at least in my neck of the woods, and during that point in time, we had what was called the DARE program, and it was like.
Oh yeah.
I don't even remember what the acronym stand for. I think maybe the D stood for drugs, but honestly, that could be wrong. And it was basically like, dare to not do drugs or whatever, right?
Wasn't it like super ineffective because it like literally taught kids how to do drugs?
Well, you know what? I went through that program and I don't do drugs, but that's besides the point. I think I'm probably not lying.
I don't think that has to do with the DARE program.
Drug abuse resistance education.
There you go, man. I wanted to say it was drug abuse something, but I was not sure. Anyway, this is the program that was like, people will offer you drugs and you just have to say no, and everyone was like, that was a lie. No one's offering me any free drugs.
What are these free drugs that they told us to stay away from?
That happened to me when I went to public school recently, like last year. I was like,
where's all the drugs?
Yeah, in my mind, I was just gonna be. Kids would be running up to me like, "Do you want to buy my drugs? Here, have some of this." And like, no one ever talked to me or even looked my direction. I was like, "This is not what I was told." I feel.
Oh, that's amazing.
This is
okay. So
falsified.
One of the videos that they showed us to like, this is the dangers of cigarette smoking was like this kid who met it was like a 3D CGI animation. It was this kid who like, and it was like almost movie length too. And this kid like met an anthropomorphic cigarette, and he was like, "Hey kid, come here, smoke. It'll be great for you. You'll look cool, and you'll have an amazing life and a large peanut." No, I'm just kidding. The kid was like, "I don't know. My mom told me not to smoke." Yeah, and the cigarette just keeps like prodding him and trying to get him to smoke, and eventually the kid caves and is like, "Okay, all right, I'll try it." And he like takes a tiny little like breath from a cigarette. The tiniest puff, and the cigarette starts going, "Ah, you fell for it, kid!" And then like he looks over to the horizon, and this massive like factory comes up, and it's like Evil Tobacco Corp Incorporated mega corporation, and it's like 3 massive smokestacks filling the air with black smoke.
Big
and then
smoke.
He's like, "Check it out, kid!" And he opens the door to the building, and there's like in one room there's kids struggling to breathe in a room full of smoke, and then he's like, "Ah!" And he looks in another one, and there's kids literally drowning in tar. Oh. I was like, "Oh, oh, oh!"
What the heck?
What is this?
Dude,
okay, that sound, like when you were describing that film, it gave me vibes of Larry Boy and the Rumor Weed.
I was thinking of
the
Fib. I was thinking of the Fib from Outer Space.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Both of those popped into my head.
Would you guys be able to to entertain while I went to the bathroom really fast.
Yeah,
I took,
sure,
I,
we can do that.
I drank
Or we can
too
edit
much
it out,
water.
either way.
Either way,
Nah,
I have to.
I'm
pee
not
really
doing that
bad.
much editing.
The funny part was like the cigarette was wearing sunglasses, so it was like, oh, maybe he is cool.
Oh, maybe it's cool.
Yeah, and I think
Oh,
he
what
was
was-
also smoking a cigarette. He was smoking one of his own breath.
Was that cannibalism? Like Jeffrey
I don't
Dahmer
know.
with a cigarette.
It's whatever. It's whatever lighting another person on fire is, and then inhaling the fumes from it.
That's just mentally ill, dude.
Oh, but yeah, that was horrifying. I was like, oh no, drowning in tar? Oh, that's messed up.
Dude, there are a lot of things that we were told as kids that, or at least that we just heard about, that freaked us out, that we really thought we'd have more interaction with. Like the Bermuda Triangle. Whatever happened to that?
Oh yeah, dude. It's like it turns
Like,
out it's
it
not
was-
even really a problem. It's just back then, people didn't really know how to fly. B, it's just strong interference with magnetics, and C,
Yeah, it's like now we can
low vision.
We can beat that.
Yeah,
It's like it's like every History Channel or every Science Channel is like, beware the Bermuda Triangle, you'll go missing. And then it's like nowadays people never talk about it because it's like pretty much not a thing anymore. Or quicksand.
it's weird.
I was way too scared of
Oh.
quicksand as a kid.
Did you think that it would be like actually really fast, or did you think it would be like really slow?
No, I thought it'd be fast. Like, okay, part of that
Like
was
the
'cause-
Princess
'cause
Bride?
The Princess Bride, yeah. He
Oh.
jumps in, just immediately sinks down. That's what I thought. But then
did
Minecraft showed
they
me
call
all
that something else other than quicksand though in that movie? I feel like they didn't call it like straight up quicksand. I thought they called it something else,
It was some other stupid name.
like swift sand or something.
Like,
the swift sand slumps.
Let me see.
And the freaking what was that? Like a lizard? No, what was it? A boar?
No,
that came at them?
rodents of
rodent.
unusual science.
Yes, that's right.
ROUFs. Rodents of unusual. ROUSs is what they call them.
That's right. And was it the rodent that breathed fire, or was it the ground?
It was.
Because I feel like I was gonna say something spat fire at them. We're talking about the Princess Bride, David.
Oh,
Because Brian brought up quicksand,
it was just
among
the
other
ground.
things
It
we
just-
thought we'd be have to worry about as kids.
It like came from the trees or something like that. I know what you're
No,
talking
it
about.
Yeah.
It was the ground, I think. Anyways, but I have a scary story for you guys.
By all means, take it away.
Was it about your trip to the bathroom?
No.
You fell for it, kid.
So,
I want a T-shirt with that on it now.
I have a couple ones. I'll start with this one. So, I used to have a bed. Hold on.
Yeah, me too, dude. No way.
I still
used-
have mine.
I used to have a twin-sized bed, and it was one of those. It's like, you know how sometimes people just have like the frame of the bed is like super low to the ground. There's like an inch of clearance. Well,
Yeah.
this
Oh,
was
yeah.
the type of bed that was like up super high, where you could probably put like a couple boxes underneath of it if you needed to. So, I was laying in my bed one night, peacefully, not a care in the world. I was falling asleep, and one of the scariest, most inexplicable things that has ever happened to me in my life occurred. As I'm falling asleep, the feeling of something or someone either like slamming against the underneath of my bed, or as if someone like sat up and hit their head, like that happened to my bed. Like my whole bed shook, and there was a loud thunk from underneath of my bed, from the wood of my bed. I jolted upright and just kind of like looked around my bed. Like I didn't really like peer over the side because I didn't want to see like Michael Myers looking back at me or whatever. But like for about like probably 2 hours or so, I just kind of sat up and looked and listened. It was one of those moments that just sends a chill down your spine and gives you a shot of adrenaline, and I have no idea what happened. I don't know what the sound from under my bed was, because I wasn't gonna look. You think I'm gonna be like, oh, that's how people die in horror movies. They're like, did you hear that sound from the bathroom? Let me go look. No.
What was that sound of somebody dying and getting their neck chopped off?
It sounds like there's a murderer in the
No,
next room.
I
Let's investigate.
I curled up
Oh, actually,
in my bed. I kept my limbs as close and to the middle as possible, and I sat there.
Under the blanket?
Yes, under the blanket.
bro. Okay, real quick. Have you guys seen the trailer for the new Winnie the Pooh horror movie coming out?
No, but I heard that that's like a thing. They're also doing
hear about it.
Yeah, okay.
They're doing
so
a
here's the
Grinch
thing.
horror movie as well.
A while back, I have heard that. A while back, Winnie the Pooh and the 100 Acre Woods characters were put on the free market, so they were no longer owned by anybody.
Oh,
So
right.
anybody,
I heard about
The
that.
public
anybody
domain.
anybody could pick up that one.
Their
I couldn't
contract
remember what
ran
it's
out.
called.
Yeah.
Exactly. So somebody picked up, which I want to know how long have they had this idea in their head, because it was like not even a couple weeks after that happened that this movie was announced. But it's called like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. And the trailer for it looks like it's going to be good, but I can't really tell if it's humans in costumes or if they're supposed to be giant mutated animals. But I don't know. Oh, I guess we'll see when the movie comes out. But it looks really freaking scary.
Huh. Interesting.
I don't know why your story reminded me of that. It just
Yeah, I have no idea where that came from.
I don't either.
Oh, bother.
So one time. I was sitting in my bed. This is back when right before Cody went to college. So we shared the room, and I was on the top bunk. It was actually that metal bunk bed, David, that you used to have there.
Yeah.
The one that you could not. Okay, so it was a metal bunk bed, and you couldn't move without it creaking like crazy.
It was
Mhm.
So if you had somebody sleeping on above you that like moved a lot while they're sleeping, you're not getting any sleep because you're just going to be hearing that creaking all night long. But anyways, I was sitting on top of the bed or on the top bunk with reading a book one time, and Cody walked out, and as he walked out, he looked at me and said, book up. Like he was telling me to put the book up, and then he turned the light off and walked out. I heard look up. And then he turned the light off. So my instinct was like, I threw my hands on top of my head and sat there for like 20 minutes. I'm like, is there something on top of me? Is there something about to drop on me? I'm like, what does he want me to look at?
Who is above me?
You were like
it
10.
took me like
Got
20.
it.
Yeah, it took me like 20 to 30 minutes before I finally realized what he actually said. And I was like, oh, jeez. And I sat there like
darn.
terrified that something was above me.
That's hilarious.
That is hilarious.
For you.
One time, and this story, it's not imperative to the story, but you were there, Brian. So I guess I'll include you. But
Okay.
this is back in the dark ages, but not the dark ages, but it was like
I was
2
gonna say,
years ago
whoa.
or something like that. And I just heard him mute his microphone. Click. But so Brian was over at my house. He was hanging out with my sister, and they went downstairs to play Mario Kart or something. So I followed him down there because I enjoyed hanging out with him. I like his company because
Yeah.
one's my best friend, the other's my sister. So they're playing Mario Kart. I'm chilling on the bed that you can't see that's to my right here.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
I'm watching my YouTube or playing my phone game or whatever the cool kids do these days. But I'm pretty sure I was watching like a Markiplier video. Anyways, they get bored. They go back upstairs. I'm really comfy, and my video is really good. So I stayed down there. And like 10, 15 minutes go by, maybe. They haven't come back down. I haven't gone up, so I'm sitting there. Anyways, you can't see from where I am, but there's a door from where the doorway leads in. If you came into the basement and looked to your right, you would be able to see the bed, but you can't see anything like on the other side of the doorway. But directly adjacent to the doorway to the basement is the doorway to the pantry, and it was open slightly. That's important. And I heard like the shuffling of like feet, like maybe socks or bare feet against like the floor. So, I didn't think anything of it. With a smile on my face, I set my phone down. I stood up and I said, "What are you crazy kids doing?" And I went to the doorway, and nobody was there. Like, you would have heard someone walk up the stairs, and I looked at the pantry, and I saw that the door was open slightly. And the pantry is concrete floor. like foundation. So
Mhm.
like you would be able to hear if someone were to walk across it with socks or like shuffle their feet, you would be able to hear that sound, and that's what I heard. So I like turned on the pantry light and looked inside the pantry, and there was nobody in there. There's a furnace in there, but like you would see someone if they were standing behind the furnace. So
Right.
very slowly I turned off the light, I closed the door. Actually, I don't even think that I managed to progress past the basement door to go investigate. I think I just heard it, recognized it probably came from the pantry, and if someone was in there, they would probably come out at some point, so I went and sat on the bed and looked towards the door and waited. And I stayed down in the basement until somebody else came downstairs and walked past the pantry. I don't know who it was. It might have been you, Brian, coming to get like your jacket or something.
I don't even remember.
But someone...
I thought you were going. I thought you were going to tell the story of the time you kicked the door open and freaked out your sister so bad she had a panic attack.
That was funny. That was not scary for me. That was scary for somebody else.
It was hilarious to me at the time, but I couldn't laugh on the outside because at that time I was dating her, so I was like I had to sit there and be like, it's okay.
I did
Like
feel...
that,
Calm me down.
Like that meme of what's his face, the guy who hosts Family Feud. Frick, I'm like blanking hard on his name right now.
Steve Jobs.
Harvey.
Steve Harvey.
Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is dead.
The meme where he's like.
Do either of you have another scary story? Because I have one that I can segue right into.
I'll just throw in another tidbit from New York. Got to see a Broadway show. That was really
Nice.
cool. Phantom of
see?
the Opera. We even got our own
Oh,
little like house thing where like the circle with the chairs on it that's like up on the wall by the
Yeah.
stage. It was just the four of us on that little house
that's
thing,
amazing.
whatever you call those. It's great, yeah.
Balcony seat.
Balcony seat, yeah.
I don't know.
I have no idea. I've never been to Broadway.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, it was a little too close to the stage for comfort, but like for the price we got it, and the fact that we got said tickets literally the last second, no complaints here.
Did you
It's
get one
great.
of those like little glasses things where you're like?
No, I didn't have any opera
Okay.
glasses, but I could, if I like peer down over the edge of the balcony, you could look down into the pit at the orchestra, and I could see a little off like behind the stage and see a little bit of the stagecraft going on back there. That was really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. Or like when there's like a part where the Phantom climbs up on to the exterior of this, like the crowning around the stage, and like lowers down on a statue, and we could see him like climbing up there, making his way to the center, and then like hiding on the back of it as it lowered down.
That's
It was
awesome.
really cool.
Um,
Back to you, David.
Well, Brian, do you have anything to add?
Oh, sorry. Fair
I
enough.
mean, it's not necessarily like scary, but I mean, I was scared because I never played it before. But Black Ops 1 Zombies, when I first played that for the first time, I tell you what, man, it was difficult to sleep that night. I'll tell you, it was spooky. Oh, have you seen the movie World War Z?
Yes.
So actually, fun fact, it's actually one of the most expensive zombie movies ever made.
I believe it, man.
It's a good movie, but the zombies in that movie make a weird like clicking sound with their mouth. It's like
Like a predator?
I don't know. It's
Yeah,
difficult.
Kind of. You could
I don't
say it
know.
like that.
It's been a while since I played the first Black Ops Zombies specifically.
Well, this is from World War Z.
So this is from the movie World War Z.
Oh, you're still okay. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, I moved on. So that movie, this story isn't scary for me, but on my sister, we watched that movie one night, and it was late. I mean, we didn't finish it till like 1 a.m. And Dad, like, had left a couple minutes early, like right before the credits, and he went upstairs. And so we finished it, and then we all went upstairs and found out that Dad was hiding in my sister's room with a creepy mask on. And as she walked into the room, he started making that clicking sound like the zombies made in the movie. And like we could hear her screams from upstairs. It was the funniest thing.
Classic.
Yeah, it was really freaking funny for us.
Speaking of screams of terror, that's perfect segue into my next story that scared me. This was a couple years back. For the sake of the argument, we'll say early 2020, because that's really when like TikTok and like doing stuff on the internet. I mean, doing stuff on the internet has always been popular, but that's when like making stupid videos on the internet got really popular.
That's when the stupidity really ramped up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It stopped being funny and clever and just got stupid.
one night I was not the only person at home. The only other person at home was Alex, but like she was just there. So it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, "Oh, I have a funny idea for a video. I'll go ahead and do this." So it involved me, like I don't know what I was doing, but it involved me jumping off of the monkey bars of the jungle gym that's in my backyard. So I was out there 11 o'clock at night. It's like pitch dark outside, and I'm standing on top of the monkey bars, getting ready to like do my thing or something. And I hear like rustling in the bushes in like my neighbor's yard, but it wasn't like small like squirrel or like chipmunk like noises.
What a try.
Small furry mammal. This was like something that was big enough to like really disturb like the bushes. So I like turned on my phone's flashlight. Not very powerful because it has a much broader like range of where the light goes. It's not very focused. So like didn't really help me see anything, but when I like shined it in that direction, it stopped the noise, the rustling of the brush. So I thought nothing of it, and then I went back to like doing my thing on my phone, trying to get everything set up, and then I heard it again, and it sounded like it was getting closer to me. So panicked and paranoid, I jumped off the monkey bars, not for the purpose of my video, and I ran inside. I locked the back door. I turned off the kitchen lights, and I went and sat in my living room. And my living room, picture if you will, it has a giant window in front of it that's like one big window pane, and then it curves, and there's like two other window panes. So it's like a kind of half hexagon looking situation. Or octagon. I don't know. But in front of that, there's a couch. So I sat on that couch and sunk down low enough that you couldn't see me from the window because I was very paranoid at this moment in time because I was practically the only person home. And I just sat there thinking that some creature was after me or something. And like I'm looking at like other windows in the house that I could see, like trying to make sure nothing's like looking at me. And as I'm sitting there in the silence of my house, from the kitchen, one of my dogs howls, which she does often, but it was so unexpected that I legitimately like screamed, like an actual like not like you do like when like someone's around a corner and you go like, oh, you know, but like I actually went like ah out of like fear, and I was petrified. And my niece Alex comes downstairs and is like, what are you doing? Why'd you scream like that? And I was like,
I was making a video.
I was like, you know, just wanted to see if you were listening. So I think I managed to muster up my courage, and I migrated upstairs to my room and locked the door and played video games.
It's like, do you guys remember like the early seasons of the Fairly Odd Parents? Whenever Timmy Turner's dad would scream, it was literally just like a woman screaming.
Yeah.
Like I can't even do it.
I wish I had a video of what my scream sounded like, because it was very genuine and very real. Which are, you know, kind of the same thing, but...
Let me see.
You got anything, Brian?
I know your document was, you know, but surely.
Shall I talk more about New York?
Sure,
I'm
go
just
ahead.
dying
Okay.
to hear about how terrifying one of the states was.
Dude, listen, man, that city is a crap hole. No offense to people who live in New York. I'm sure the upstate is beautiful, but New York City, ooh, listen, not great. People on drugs everywhere.
That's fair.
Anyway, we ate at the world famous Katz's Delicatessen. Now, I cannot stress enough the world famousness. We literally like met people in line that were from like Singapore, and
Wow.
like somewhere in Scandinavia. I can't remember specifically what country, but up there. And one of the main reasons it's so famous is, have either of you seen When Harry Met Sally?
No.
No.
Okay, well, it's stars Billy Crystal and shoot, I can't remember her name, even though I literally just looked it up earlier. But there's a scene where they have, I think it's lunch in that restaurant, and they have what their dish that they're most known for is a pastrami sandwich, but it's like so thick it looks like corned beef, but it's delicious, and they usually prepare it in a way that's very similar to a Reuben, but it's distinctively not a Reuben. Anyway, Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan are like on a lunch date, quote unquote, there, and she like fakes an orgasm in the middle of the restaurant because Billy Crystal is convinced that he's like the greatest sex haver in the world. Anyway, it's
were they having sex in the restaurant?
no. But she's like, you think all those women were actually like orgasming? He's like, yeah, totally. Everyone, I know when one is real and one's not, and so she like sits there and fakes one. For the comedy, for the lulz. And so like this food was really good, 100% worth it, even though we got there to wait in line at like 6:30, 7 o'clock, and the line was like out the door and a little bit down the street, and we didn't get our food till like 8 or so, but it was 100% worth it. It was delicious. And like the way, it was really weird. The way it works, first of all, they only take cash. No checks, no electronic payment, no credit cards. And when you walk in, they give you a ticket. And even if you don't, every single person that walks in is handed a ticket. Even if you don't pay for something, you still have to give it back before you leave. Otherwise, they will fine you $50. Exactly.
So strange.
And there's a huge sign right by the door that's like, if you don't return your ticket, that's $50. I'm walking here.
Was the food so good that it made you orgasm?
No, it wasn't that good.
Oh, then it's just not.
I'm not Meg Ryan. Sorry.
It doesn't sound worth it to me then.
I was almost there. I was close. Let me tell you what. I didn't want to embarrass my family.
Just right on the edge. Like eating this Reuben and you're like edging yourself.
It's not a
Okay,
Reuben,
you made it
Ryan.
weird. I just
Yeah,
imagine
it's
it more like Markiplier, where like you're sitting across from your friend who's eating the sandwich, and you're like, "You close."
Pretty close.
Okay.
I have a very important question. Should I mark this episode as explicit?
Probably now at this point.
Okay.
Maybe I don't know. My parents listen to this, man.
It wouldn't hurt.
Well, oh well.
Rip. Anyway.
Mine doesn't. Ha!
Dang it.
She can't figure out how it works.
Well, my dad told her that you like were bragging about that fact, and it sounded like she became pretty determined to listen now. So.
Well, she hasn't mentioned it yet. So.
Okay. You guys got any more tales of horror?
Gosh darn! I was supposed to be thinking of it, but I was so enthralled with your story.
Oh, I apologize for being so entertaining. I can't help it.
I've spoken
I'm just
too
so
much.
talented.
It was pretty funny.
No, I mean, I think you mean pretty scary.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah.
So
I
good,
wouldn't
it's
wanna eat it.
scary. That food,
I
let me
wouldn't
tell
want to eat
you.
a sandwich like that. Oh, in February, I had a scary moment. I was driving home from work, and this was a little context. This was right after. This was the day that, me and my ex-fiance broke up, or we split. So they let me go home. Yeah, they let me go home from work early, which I didn't really want, but I was kind of in a mess, and they're like, just.
Did she wait?
We'll just go home.
Does that mean like she broke it off with you over text while you were at work?
Oh yeah, no, she did because she was in an airplane at the moment. She was coming back from a trip,
Oh,
and yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
Apparently,
that's
I
rough. I'm
was
sorry.
I was the only person her phone would let her text while she was on the plane. So
that's a little
Yeah.
sus.
yeah,
I mean,
it was weird. But anyways, I was
that is definitely strange.
naturally I was crying because this is my fiance of 2 years, and we had been living together for 2 years, and it was really rough.
Mm-hmm.
So I was crying on my way home, and February had snowed, and so they had plowed the middle of the highway, but the outside lanes were only like half plowed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't really paying attention because I'm just going home, just going through the motions of going back to the apartment, and crying, could barely see through my tears. And I went to merge over to the next lane and wasn't going slow enough, And so as soon as my tires hit the snow on the other half of the lane, it like all just bunched up on that side of my car and like started spinning me out. So I ended up like in the ditch, and I was just like, I just sat there for a second. I was like, am I still alive? I'm like, what the heck just happened? Because it all just happens. Yeah, it was like all just happened so fast. I went from being like an emotional wreck to being like, what the heck?
And a literal wreck.
Where am I? Literal wreck. I was like, where the heck am I? I couldn't even get out my door because it was like there was a bunch of brush there that was like really tough brush. I was holding it shut. It was freaky because I didn't know what the heck was going on. I was like, my brain was just all in a mess at that time, and I was like, I don't know where I am. How did I get here?
Yeah.
And then you died. Plot twist. Brian has been a ghost this whole time.
These are all pre-recorded. So a couple months back during the rainy season of where we live, there was a really, really bad storm. And this was after, I don't know what event it was particularly, but me and my friends were all out at I think it was like the end of a play or something like that.
Oh, sorry. When did you say this was?
I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, maybe.
Like end of school year?
Last
school year, or like August?
Oh man, I'm not sure. Maybe it was longer ago than that. I'm not sure. It was raining. Okay. It within a year's time. It wasn't that long ago, but it was raining really bad, and my mom was like, "This rain's getting really bad. I want you to come home." I was like, "Okay, that's fine." We were about to wrap things up here, anyways. So I get in my car. I'm driving, and I'm on Shawnee Mission Parkway. And I was actually really close to. I think I was on. You know where like Antioch and Shawnee Mission Parkway intersect?
Mm-hmm.
I think
You're
I was
by the library.
Yeah, I think I was close to over. No, I was near Quivira. That's where I was. It's not
okay.
Quivira. So I was on Shawnee Mission Parkway. It's raining, so I'm going about 40 miles an hour because I don't want to be going 45, but it wasn't raining enough to not go fast. And I'm going, and I wanted to change lanes for some reason. I don't know why. I ended up not changing lanes, and a couple seconds after I decided not to change lanes because I was fine where I was, my car started to hydroplane. And
I've done that.
It was hydroplaning where there was like a slight curve in the road. So as I'm hydroplaning, I'm progressing towards the curb of the Shawnee Mission Parkway at 40 miles an hour where there are several light poles. And I was like, I'm going to slam into a light pole at 40 miles an hour and die. And I hit the curb and bounced off of it so hard. One, my radio shut off. That's how hard I hit the curb.
Oh.
Dang, dude.
And so after that, I rose up probably a couple feet and came back down. But I had turned my tires enough because I know how physics works. And so when I bounced off of it, my tires, the way they were turned, like kind of re-centered me from veering off to the side. So I bounced off the curb, hit the ground, veered the direction my tires were going, and then had to veer back all in the span of like couple seconds. And after that, my radio turned back on, but I pulled out into like a church parking lot and like assessed the damage on my car, to which there was none, surprisingly, except for a severe need of a rebalance. But that was one of the scariest things that I have experienced. That was not like some paranormal like monster's gonna get me, but actual like holy crap, I could die.
Right. Brian, you got anything more?
There was one time. So
this one time.
Sorry. Like, I know we say that a lot. There was another one of those like I thought I was going to die type moments. We were at a friend's house. I may have mentioned this before. I don't know. We were at a friend's house out in the country, and they have a lot of land and stuff there. And on their back deck is like, I mean, it's more of a back. Yeah, it's a back deck, but it's like raised above where the basement floor door exits out.
Yeah.
Then you have stairs that go down. Well, from that deck, they have targets out in the field where we could, shoot guns or they have airsoft targets, and they have targets farther out for actual guns and stuff. And the airsoft targets, the way they're made, or air gun targets, is when you shoot them, they fall down, but they have a string attached from them to the balcony where you can just pull it back up and reset it instead of having to go all the way down there. And they had a line for every target. And that night, my brother and my dad had gone out rabbit hunting, and they got a couple rabbits, and they were on their way back with the ATV, and they wanted me to go open the gate for them, which is down the stairs from the balcony across the yard into the corner of their property. So I went down the stairs. I was running over towards the gate, and I totally forgot that there were strings coming down, like rope coming down from the balcony, and I happened to hit the one spot where it was just perfectly low enough to wrap around my neck.
Oh, you clotheslined.
It didn't just wrap around and then come undone. Like, it wrapped around and then hooked on itself, so it was like tight around my neck for a solid few seconds.
Oh crap, dude!
And I couldn't breathe. Obviously, by the time I finally got off, I ran inside, and I was like, I think about 3 months, I had a solid line of just scabbed up skin all around my neck because it's starting to bleed and stuff, and I couldn't. It hurt to put on any type of shirts, any type of anything on my neck at all. It stung because of all that giant scab all the way around my neck.
Wow.
It was really, really painful.
That sounds pretty bad.
That is terrifying. Once again, this story takes place on Shawnee Mission Parkway in Quivira, because that's where my school is. So, a lot of things happened over there. But I was hanging out with some friends, and I don't know if we were at the pool or something, heading back from there, or what we were doing. But my friend that was driving was really, really tired. The tired that's how they say driving drowsy is just as dangerous as drunk driving.
Okay, yeah, that level.
We're in that level of tired driving, and
right. Where you just can't keep your eyes open.
Yeah, we're going down Quivira, where it intersects Shawnee Mission Parkway. So we're going down, and the light is red, and it has been red for a very long time. It hasn't changed yet, and I don't know if I was looking at my phone or something, but I look up a ways back where I could see the light, and I'm sitting there, and I was like, oh man, my friend is not braking whatsoever, and we just blew through this light 40 miles an hour, has stagnant red light, but luckily no cars were coming either direction for Shawnee Mission.
Was this in the middle of the day?
This was in the middle of the day.
Wow.
Probably 6 p.m.
Oh, okay.
5 or 6, which is not middle of the day, but that's when people are getting off of work and heading home.
Yeah, it's not 3 a.m. where the roads are dead.
No, yeah, that's when people are going to get dinner and stuff like that. But there was just nobody on the road at that particular junction, and needless to say, the entire car erupted in screams and, "What are you doing?" And my friend is just "I'm so tired," and we were "Wake up!"
Oh my gosh.
So that was a very scary moment.
So trying to brake on snow and ice is one of the scariest moments, because it's you're coming up on a stoplight, and no matter how far back you are, you start to press on the brakes, and it's your ABS is pressing back at you, so you have to keep pumping it, and you're just sliding down towards the stop sign, and you're if I don't stop, I'm gonna get caught in the middle of this this crosswalk here, and I'm gonna get T-boned. Mm-hmm. It's I either stop or just gun it and try to get it through.
Man, driving is
scary.
Or
when you're stopped, at a red light or whatever, and then it turns green, so you press on the pedal, but instead of moving, your wheels just spin in place.
Yeah, you just spin.
You're ah!
You're
back wheels start to do this, and you're no, just go straight.
What's even scarier is when you're stopped at a light and it's snowy, and somebody else is coming up behind you, and you're
dude, yes.
You're
yes.
Dear God, if there were ever a time for brakes to work, now.
So anyway, though, the hors d'oeuvres at my cousin's wedding in New York were delicious.
That's great.
Oh, what a great segue.
That's terrifying. Good hors
wait,
d'oeuvres?
I'm genuinely curious, though. Let me ask you guys. Have you ever had a burger with, like, mashed avocado spread on it?
No, I hate avocados.
Oh, well, I guess, alright, I was gonna say, I love guac, and avocados are good. They had these little mini cheeseburgers, rather, and between the bottom bun and the patty was a little mashed avocado spread, and it was incredible. I ate, like, almost too many of those to count, honestly. I'm not even gonna try to number it.
That's probably the only thing I would eat that night if I was there and those were an option.
But those were just the hors d'oeuvres, my lad. Then we had steak on the cruise, and then at the actual wedding, I had salmon steak.
What?
Yeah, with couscous.
Eating
so
like
good.
a king. Oh,
I know. Wait, hey, listen, man, it wasn't cheap.
I'm sure.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, no other way to describe it.
I have exhausted myself with scary stories.
Me too.
All right.
I'm like trying to rack my brain, but I really
I'll tell you what.
So bad.
I'm almost done with my little New York tidbits, and then I've thought of a couple of my own scary experiences. So
sure.
Briefly, we went to this giant, like, I think it was like 7 floors, a 7th-floor Macy's building. It's right near Times Square. Not like right off Times Square, but it's like nearby. Walking distance. I guess a lot of things are walking distance, though, when you consider how slow traffic moves in New York. But this Macy's is well known because it had wooden escalators in it at the very core of the building. If you walk past there's like normal escalators closer to like the door, but if you walk to the center of the building, it's like wooden mechanical escalators. And if you're on them or standing near them, you can hear the clanking and clacking of the internal parts. It's really cool.
That's bizarre.
Yeah. And to top it all off, on the second to last day of our trip, oh wait, before I get to that, so obviously New York is known for its skyscrapers, right?
Yeah.
Let's see, Brian, he said he only drove through it, so okay. Have either of you heard of the Vanderbilt skyscraper?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you know what the summit at One Vanderbilt is?
Like
does that sound familiar to you at all if I say summit at One Vanderbilt?
No.
It does sound familiar, yes.
Okay, so crap. I don't have these videos prepared. They're not on my laptop, and it would take way too long to try to... Well, actually, you know what? Maybe. Hold on. Let me just try something real quick. I'll keep talking about it, though, so there's not just awkward silence. Anyway, so it's the skyscraper that's like... Mainly, it's like offices for business, but at the top and off of the lobby area is this attraction called the Summit. And basically, it's all the, like, sub-attraction areas... Oh, gosh, hold on. Google's giving me a hard time here. Shut up, man. Okay, all the, like, areas are called weird, fancy stuff like Ascension and Reflection and you know, Revolution, stuff like that. And when you go up, and you're in the lobby, and the first thing you do after you like, pay for your ticket and get in is they give you this, like, little protector thing that you put over your shoe. Because, like, what you're going to be walking on is delicate, right? And so you walk, then you go and you have your face scanned for augmented reality. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my screen to show you guys this. So you go into this elevator, and it takes you up to the 99th floor, rather. Sorry. See, can you guys see that?
I'm clicking.
It should be up now.
So,
and you're going from the ground floor to floor 99. Yeah. So as you're going up, there's like light effects, and every surface inside the elevator rather is a mirror, and you can feel your ears pop as the elevator takes you up, and then it opens, and it's just a white room, and then you walk around the corner, and everything in the room is a mirror. The floor is mirrors, the walls are mirrors, the ceilings are mirrors, and all the exterior windows look out to the city skyline. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't that look freaking just weird?
Oh, that's bizarre.
Oh.
I don't know if it's blurry for you guys, but like it's like the
No,
mirror
yeah,
dimension
it's
in
a
Doctor
little
Strange.
blurry.
It's endlessly reflective, and it's trippy, but it's also really cool. Also, not a very good place to wear a skirt. I wouldn't recommend that at all. But one of the rooms up there, so they have like what you have at most famous skyscrapers, where you can like stand on glass like above the city, and like look straight down, and like, if the glass broke, you would die. You'd fall to your death. But they also have this room full of silver balls that are just as reflective as the mirrors. And when they're all grouped together, as you can see on the screen here, just go ahead and describe that for me if you can, David.
Do they float? Are they like balloons?
Yeah, they're filled with helium, and there are fans around the room blowing in an upward direction.
I don't know how to describe
It's
that.
it's like that one room from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or Willy Wonka. No, yeah, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah. It's almost surreal, and they're all just kind of floating around, and like there's a part where there's less fans, and so a lot of them are sitting on the floor, so you can sit down on the floor with them and just be surrounded by shiny reflective spheres. It was really, really cool, but incredibly trippy. Okay, all right, I'm gonna stop the stream just so we can not have my bandwidth crippled. So that was pretty great. One of the highlights of the trip, without a doubt. And just as the last part, as I was going to mention earlier before I remembered the Vanderbilt, is my dad witnessed a robbery at Marshall's.
Oh.
Yeah, he was, I think he was in line. No, he wasn't in line. He was grabbing something off of a rack, and he saw this kid just like grab a bunch of clothes, stuff it into a trash bag, and then run out the emergency exit.
Dang.
So it's a little less exciting than it sounded, but there you go, robbery.
Yeah.
Dude, I stopped a kidnapping the other day.
What?
Seriously?
Well, hold on.
Yeah,
Why have you been
I just-
holding
Yeah.
that in?
Whoa. Yeah.
Come on, man.
I just use self-control.
Tell us.
No, that was it.
Okay, come on.
I use self-control. to stop
Elaborate.
kidnapping.
Elaborate.
It was a joke, dude.
Okay, all right. It took me a little longer than I'd care to admit, but that was not cool, man. Not cool. Brian, edit that out.
That was completely wasted. I might. That was wasted on you guys.
I was
Well,
I was
okay,
hoping for some
fine.
juicy excitement.
Yeah, man. Come on.
You want to know what's odd?
What?
Numbers that aren't divisible by 2.
All
Shut
right.
up.
This is devolving into trash. Let's get this back on
Man,
topic.
I really am dumb. I was like, well, what about the number 1?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a scary story for you.
I know. No, my brain is being I'm
Yeah,
devolving.
exactly.
I'm devolving.
It's really scary. My ex-wife. No, I'm just kidding. So have you guys ever like genuinely choked on something? Like
Yes.
it completely clogged your airways and you actually almost died.
Yes.
That is a scary moment. I was at the Noodles and Company, and I got a nice piece of chicken. I was real hungry and I was young, and got a nice piece of chicken lodged in my throat. And luckily, I was with my mom, who knows the Heimlich maneuver. Not only knows it, but has performed it to save another person's life, so she knows it well. And so I immediately did the international sign for choking, and she saved my life. But man, you can. I just felt death's icy fingers tightening their grip around my neck.
It's really strange. I had
It's a horrifying experience.
I had an experience where I don't know, for some reason I opened the cabinet and it looked appealing. I saw the peanut butter jar and I was like, I want some of that. So I unscrewed the lid, I grabbed a spoon, and in a quarter of a second I shoveled 3 spoonfuls of peanut butter into my mouth. And
I understand that, man. I get it.
as I swallowed, the peanut butter just completely over the top of my esophagus, and everything else was just stuck. And there was no air could go through. And I very calmly because I knew that air was limited now. This is a survival situation.
The meter appeared in the top left corner of your eyes.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I'm on a timer now. My mom was like sitting in the kitchen chair. This was in the kitchen. She was there. But like, if I say that I'm choking, there's nothing to Heimlich. Like, maybe if I threw up, I would be in a better position. But like, it wouldn't have done much if I was like, ooh. So I went to the cabinet. I grabbed a cup. I filled it up with water, and I put the water in my mouth, and I just kind of like did the gulping, chugging motion, trying to like let the water kind of start to flow down, and I was able to wash down the peanut butter.
Nice, yeah. I thought you were gonna say you just grabbed the jug of milk out of the fridge and went, oh.
Bro, so it's funny that you mentioned that. I didn't almost choke on it, but it was gross at the time. It was long time ago, back when my dad worked for Sprint. They frequently had bring your kids to work day, and so we were almost always there with him in his cubicle having fun.
Neat.
And he gave me a bunch of Smarties one time, and the little idiot kid that I was opened up like 5 packs of Smarties and threw them all in my mouth at the same time. And then I was chewing it. I was like, this is really dry. I need some water. So then I took a swig of water while they're still in my mouth and created the most chalky, disgusting water that I could ever. I couldn't swallow it because it was just so thick and chalky.
Oh gosh!
I literally could not swallow. I had to find a trash can to spit out because it was just like stuck in my mouth and it was tasted so bad.
One day during Sunday school, we had a thing that involved saltines. I don't remember what it was or why or what the purpose was. But I volunteered.
Like how many saltines can you eat in the
Yeah,
middle?
so I had like a stack that was like this big, this tall. You guys don't know how tall I am. Maybe like
a couple
like
inches.
a bunch of saltines stacked on top of each other. I shoved it into my mouth and I chewed them all up, and it was just like sawdust. It was the worst experience of food I've ever had in my entire life.
That's pretty funny, That it's interesting that you say that about your dad, Brian, that you're like at his work all the time, because I had like literally the exact opposite experience with my dad's employers.
My dad worked at home for most of my life.
Sorry.
My dad's job loved us being there. I mean, heck, even his most recent, or not his most recent, the job he had right before his last job. Gosh, what was it? I think it was. He was working for the Census Bureau, and he had to go into the office every now and then, and get tagged along. I mean, yeah, it was kind of weird taking your 18-year-old kid with you, but I mean, I had nothing to do. I brought my laptop and I would just sit there and game. But I mean, the guys there were great. Yeah, everybody loved us being there.
It wasn't that my dad didn't love me. Let me be clear about that. He loves me, but like, I'm not going to go into detail. But his nature of work is sensitive.
Waste management.
Yeah,
like you can't.
And so like, literally, the first time I ever even like saw where he worked, like he had to leave his truck there at one point because I think it died or something, and he had to get the battery replaced. So he's like, "All right, drive me over there so I can drop me off in the parking lot, and I'll walk through the front gate and grab it, and then we'll both go home." And so I was like, "Okay." And so I'm like, we're almost there, and it's like around the corner at this point. And so he's like, "All right, stop here for a second." And I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "I gotta call ahead and let them know that we're coming in this car so they don't shoot you." And I was like, "What?" I'm pretty sure he was kidding, but at the same time, we get there and it's like a fence with like razor wire on the top, and the stereotypical like guard's booth with a gate and an armed guard. I was like, "Oh, okay."
Jeez. Yeah, I didn't know that that line of work was so like highly protected. I guess it makes sense, but
yeah, I mean
yeah, it does. I guess it does make sense. Yeah, when you really think about it,
because the thing he does is not the only thing that happens at that facility. Like that's just a part of the whole operation there.
Yeah, that's a very complicated process, and
bounty hunting is a very complicated profession.
I hate that guy.
Bro, if bounty hunting was allowed,
I mean,
I would totally be going that route.
It's not allowed.
Kind of is though.
People still do it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you have to go. It's not just like
I would like to be a bounty hunter.
It's not like here's the thing. It's not like Star Wars where you just find somebody who's giving out bounties and you just go grab it and go bring the person in. It's like you have to, in order to be an actual like bounty hunter, you have to take a lot of classes, and I mean you're essentially a your own private law enforcement type thing.
Yeah. Still kind of cool though.
Oh yeah, it'd be fun. But
It'd be
it's
fun.
A lot of. It's
I can bring you in hot, or I can bring you in cold.
bring you in cold.
No, okay, but I've
I
got.
totally use that line. They'd be like, "Wait, did you just threaten to murder me?"
Wait a minute. Are you quoting the Mandalorian right now? And you're like, shut up.
It'll be everything. Will,
Shut up! Bam, 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 bam.
Everything will be okay.
All right, I've got one more scary story. So let me ask you guys.
Yes.
Obviously, we see this kind of thing happen all the time in movies and TV, where something horrible happens, and you either someone calls 911 or they turn around and they're like, "You call 911." But have you ever had to call 911 genuinely because an emergency is going on?
I saw that happen. That was disgusting.
Brian, edit that out.
Wait, what?
Nothing happened. What are you talking
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I missed it. What happened? No, tell me.
You have to promise to edit out, dude.
Okay, fine. Yeah, let me mark 136.
Okay.
Editor's note. It was at this time that Jake then proceeded to tell me a story of something that had happened just moments ago in the video chat that we were in that I had not caught because I was coughing up a lung. So, it was really funny. It didn't make a good edit for me to cut that out and for it to immediately cut into the next section. So, I decided to make this note to let you know what happened. It was just a funny story that Jake may or may not tell you later on because it was slightly embarrassing for him. Now, back to the episode.
So, have you guys ever had to call 911?
No.
All right. I have, thankfully only ever once, but still, you never think about just how emotionally taxing that is, to be even just the person calling 911, even if you're not injured or not hurt, sitting there watching your loved one potentially making their way into the grave before your very eyes. So, I don't know if you guys remember when my dad's face got all swollen up that one time.
No, I don't.
I don't remember that at all.
So he had a root canal, and the tooth got infected, and this pocket formed up in his gums, and it got really big, and that caused the exterior on his cheek to swell up too, and his eye was almost half closed. That's how big it got. And so the doctor was like, all right, here, take this medicine, and the swelling should go down, whatever. And so it's important to note that this is medicine that he had never taken before. It's a special kind of make the swelling go down medicine. And
like a steroid.
Yeah, and he also he tries to not eat a super big lunch. He'd been doing the intermittent fasting diet at this point in time. I think he's still doing it, but not nearly to the degree that he was at that time. I don't know. It's his diet life. I don't know every detail about it. That's not the point. The point is he was a little light in the stomach department, and his body had never taken he saw the pill and he's like, oh, it's so little bit. I think if I recall correctly, he was like, oh, it's so small, or either that he just straight up misread the bottle, but he took 2 when he was only supposed to take 1 or something like that. He accidentally basically overdosed, and so he came home from work for the day, and he was sitting on the couch, vegging out in front of the TV, and my mom was next to him folding laundry. And he's the kind of guy that falls asleep anywhere, anytime. So he's slipping out of consciousness, but he's not quite snoring. He's groaning. He's and my mom's like, Bob, wake up! Hey, Bob, stop making, because it's loud and annoying, and she's trying to watch TV while she folds laundry. I'm in the other room at my dining table. You guys have seen that part of my house. It's laid out. And so I'm in the other room at the dining table on my laptop. I think I was writing a paper for a college class, and so he's not responding. So she grabs his shoulder and starts shaking him, and that's usually enough. Even though he's a pretty heavy sleeper, that's enough to wake him up. But he's not responding, and he's just continuing to repeatedly make like groaning noises, and then she, panic starts to rise in her voice. Bob, wake up! And he's not responding. So eventually the panic, peaks, and she's like really scared, and she like screams out to me, Jake, call 911, and like my blood ran cold, and I got up, and luckily I had my phone on me, but like sometimes it's dead, and it's like all the way in my room charging, right? So right. I pick it up, and I grab it, and I call 911, and you know what? I was like pretty calm actually, like for what was happening. Like I was like, am I watching my dad die right now? But I was like, yo, hey, this is my name, this is my address, this is what's happening. Come and get me, y'all. Come and get him.
Pick up my boy.
Yeah, he's on some new medicine that he's never taken before. It's like he's high on pot. No, I'm just kidding. he's gone unresponsive. My mom is slapping him in the face, trying to. No, she was slapping. My mom's trying to get him to wake up, and at this point, my sister's come into the room, and she's also freaking the frick out. She starts just crying, right? Because like, what else are you gonna do at this point? Yeah. And apparently the sound of her sobbing was enough for my dad to like briefly be like, shut up, because he's like trying to sleep apparently. But so like, eventually the dispatch is like, all right, we've got paramedics, police and EMS on the way. Send someone out so they can flag them down and they know what house to run into, even though you gave us your address. And so I'm like, Grace, get out there, open the front door and run to the end of the driveway, stand at the street. And so she does, and they come in and they're like, all right. And by the time they get in our house, he's awake, he's fully awake. He's like, no, what? I don't need EMS. I'm fine. I feel all right. I don't need to go anywhere. And my mom is like practically insistent that he go to the hospital. He's like, no, I'm fine. And they're like, all right. Let me see the pills, and they're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you overdosed. That combined with the fact that you ate very little, it knocked you out. And he's like, all right, okay, fine, I'll be more careful. And yeah, they eventually left. But then like it got to a point where he did have to go into the hospital just because like the swelling wouldn't go down.
Right.
And I remember like we were standing there in the room, and he's like laying in the bed, and my mom was like, okay, all right, what if we squeeze it? Because like she was going through a phase at that point where she was really into like zit popping, so she's like, let me just squeeze it. And he's like, ah! And she grabs his face and squeezes it, and it freaking shoots out, like blasts out. Like it almost hit me. I was like, oh,
that's disgusting.
That's so gross.
Yeah, maybe edit that out. I don't know.
No,
that was a genuinely
just for that.
Yeah, terrifying moment.
Yeah,
bro. It wasn't necessarily terrifying for me, but it was definitely weird and creepy. One of the first times I got high,
I can only imagine what that's like.
Yeah, I know. I had vaped so much that I was slumped on the couch and legitimately felt like I was in third person.
Did you like hotbox yourself?
I don't know, man. It was crazy. Like I felt like I was watching myself as I like from the couch. Like every time I moved, I was like watching myself move. I was trying to like bring my soul back into my body.
Were you pressing X to get up off the couch?
Yeah, no, it was like I was trying to stand up, but it was just like I would stand up and the whole room would go dizzy. I'm like, nope, going back down. Okay, this is weird. And it was like as it started to fade, I was like, "Hold, dude, that was creepy. Like, I don't want to do that again."
Man, don't do drugs,
I've never been
kids.
in third person before, but yeah,
there was. You know what you saw? There was a cigarette in the corner going, ah, you fell for it, kid.
Oh, that's funny.
POV, you're the cigarette in the corner laughing as somebody took drugs.
Alrighty.
Well,
are we done for the episode, boys?
Yeah, I think that's going to do it this time.
Alright, then we shall wrap up episode 12, I believe?
Yeah, episode 12. Guys, I can't believe it's almost been a year of this podcast. That's truly wild. And I thank each and every one of our listeners for being there with us along the way.
Indeed. Shout
out to you guys. You are the OGs.
Absolutely.
Of this podcast.
Also, I want to reconcile with something I said in the last episode. In the outro, I mentioned that the next episode would be a live stream. That is not this episode. I was mistaken. That is next episode, I believe. Correct, Jake?
That's correct. We need to talk about that, by the way. What day are you guys
we'll
free to
do
sit
that
down and stream?
We'll do that in a meeting after the episode's done.
Yeah.
Well, but I want to include a little tidbit that's like, hey guys, on this date at this time, tune into our stream. That way they know. That way we actually have an audience.
That's fair. Okay, that's fair. Let's see, November.
Everybody pull out
Calendar.
your little PDA calendars.
I'm gonna have to.
I used to have a PDA. Those things were fun.
Dude, yeah, I was gonna say, do you remember PDAs? David, you might be a little too young for them, but man, those
I don't know.
They were so. I used to write so many notes on that. It was so much fun. That's where I learned how to do shorthand. Whereas like you'd write just a little bit, what a little tidbit, and it would put the letter up there for you.
Did you have the kind that like had a flap that went over the screen?
Yes. Well, it was this way instead of up and down.
Oh yeah,
no,
I had
I
like
did.
a vertical flap. Like it wasn't like a
Yeah.
phone lid. It just like flipped up and then onto your screen.
Yep.
Unless we do it on like a Friday night, I'm probably gonna have to schedule off work. So, if you guys just want to pick a day,
I mean,
Honestly, that's probably
probably
the
will have to.
optimal day and
yeah.
time
I
of day
think
to do it.
if
Friday night.
if we could, Friday night, because I would like if we all request off like a Saturday, that way we could take the entire day to do it.
That was my thinking as well, actually.
Okay.
That's why I think the initial date I suggested was a Saturday. Let's see. Yeah, the 13th
Oh,
is
you
a
said
Sunday because, yeah. What about
the 19th or the 26th, maybe? Just make it. Well,
the
okay,
5th?
hold on. No, not the 5th. That's too close.
Actually,
for
I'll be out of
the-
town on the 5th.
I'll be out of town on the 5th too. I think.
So the
Yeah, I'm
19th.
going to it.
Sure.
You wanna
Yeah,
shoot for
let's
the
let's
19th?
shoot for the 19th. I'll
Okay.
request off work.
I will do
and
the
then
same.
Okay.
It's
I'll do
more than a
nothing
month
because
in
I don't work
advance.
on the weekends.
Lucky you.
I get to go work
So-
7 hours tomorrow.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay, so November 19th, tune in for our live stream.
Yeah, guys, we're going to be streaming the 1-year anniversary of this podcast.
So excited.
It's going to be really fun. Yeah, I'm excited for this one too.
Yeah,
Dude,
I honestly can't wait.
I can't.
Jake, are you going to be in the camera this time, or are you going to be behind the camera like always?
I'm honestly, I'm
are we
still
going to
trying
see
to
a Jake face reveal?
Jake face reveal.
maybe. You know what? Just maybe. If we can get 1 million likes, no, I'm kidding. If we,
Yeah,
I'm still trying to
Dream can
decide
do
on that because
if Dream does a face reveal, we can do a face
Hey, man.
reveal.
Dream got
especially
hate
since
for
I
his
look better
face
than
reveal.
him. Oh,
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Yeah.
Just,
Oh.
I felt bad.
I'm still trying to decide because like I can't stop my. Okay, Brian, feel free to edit this out as well if it gets a little too gross. But dear listeners, I can't explain it other than it's that my body has a visceral reaction to knowing that it's being recorded, even though it's not on camera, even though it's just audio. My nose will leak uncontrollably. Well, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. It'll leak to the point where I have to sit here and dab it every now and then with a tissue, and I don't want to do that on camera because number one, it's kind of gross, and number two, it's embarrassing. So
Just cut up a couple tampons and stuff. Over
I'm
your
not
nostrils.
doing that, Brian.
Take a Mucinex beforehand.
Which actually, fun fact:
I've-
did you know tampons were originally designed to stop bleeding from bullet wounds?
Yes.
Interesting. You learn something
Yeah.
dumb every day. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. Outro.
All right.
Go.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you next month, and happy
For-
Halloween.
Yeah. Happy spooky month.
Yes. Happy spoopy month.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Hey guys, as always, our intro music for this episode is Rareness of Existence by Adorito Silva, and our outro music that you're listening to right now is called Chill Hot Main by Zach Arvalaha. Both of these songs can be found on pixabay.com. Thank you guys once again for joining us on today's episode. I cannot tell you how excited I am for our next month's episode, our November episode. It's going to be our live stream. And my gosh, I cannot tell you, I'm so psyched for it. We have so many things planned that we may not even get to all of it. I guarantee you guys are going to be super excited. You guys are going to really love it. Hopefully, at least. That's the goal. So, join us on our Quinturkle YouTube page for that live stream next month on November 19th. Thank you for joining us.